everyone, it's Mrs. Hanson at the Town and Country Public Library. Today we're going to make red velvet cake pops. You don't have to use red velvet cake, but that's what we're using today. So for this cooking, you're going to need red velvet cake. Now, if you're very industrious and you want to make your own cake or make a box cake, go ahead. But what I chose to do was purchase some pre-made store-bought cupcakes that have already been frosted. And therefore, I don't need to buy extra frosting. I'm just going to repurpose them from the cupcakes. So that takes care of the first two items. The next thing you're going to need is chocolate. I'm choosing to use white chocolate. You can use chocolate chips. You can use white chocolate chips, but this is like melting chocolate specifically that you might use in other recipes for bark or whatever. And then you're gonna need some decorations, red sprinkles, pink sprinkles. I have my Valentine heart sprinkles. And then you're going to need cake pop sticks, or they're called lollipop sticks. And you can get them, I think, at like a Michael's or something, and they just look like lollipop sticks. Okay, so we're gonna get started. The first thing you need to do is wash your hands. You should always do that before cooking. But then I'm going to wear gloves because I am using red velvet cake, and sometimes red velvet cake will stain your hands. So I really don't want to walk around with red hands, so I will use gloves. You don't have to use gloves, but I have them, so I'm going to use them. Okay, I'm going to take a large mixing bowl, just move this out of the way, and disassemble my cupcakes. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the frosting with a spatula. Doesn't have to be perfectly, but we will be repurposing this, so do not throw it away. Just put it in a smaller bowl. Now, I bought these cupcakes, and I believe there was 10 of them, which was odd to me because I felt like there should have been a dozen, but there were 10 of them. I've already used 5 of them to demonstrate further in this cooking lesson here. Okay, and one more. Okay, now the next step is fun. Take off the paper, and you're going to crumble up in fine crumbles all the cupcakes. What you want to do is, now if you were using a cake or a homemade cake, you would do the same thing. So you just want to get it in crumbs. Nice fine crumbs. Go through and get the different pieces all crumbled up. Okay. Oh, this is looking good. Just keep going through and making it into crumbs. Okay, last one. Now, if you didn't have gloves on, your fingers would be all red. So that's this step. Okay. And I'm just going to get rid of these. Okay. Now you're going to mix in your frosting. So I separated mine because I wanted to have control over the consistency of the kind of the dough that you're making. So add it a little bit at a time. And you want it to be, you want the pops to be able to be formed, basically. If you were using a can of frosting, you would do the same thing. So you just kind of mix and mush it in. So mix and mush it together. You're trying to form like a consistency that will stick together when you make the balls. Okay, I'm going to add some more. Just kind of pushing it together and moving it around the bowl, kind of mushing it down so that it you get all the crumbs incorporated together. That's what it looks like there. I still feel like there's too many crumbs. So I'm gonna end up adding all of the frosting from the cupcakes. There, now it's sticking together really good. There we go. It's kind of like clay, only it smells good. Okay. So we have our cupcakes that have been repurposed into like a dough. Okay, now I happen to have a tablespoon scooper at home. If you don't, you can use a regular spoon or something roundish, and what you want to do is get a measure of the dough and then put it in your hands and just roll it around and kind of squish it together. Okay, forming a nice little ball. There's one. I found when I did this, prep the other part of this, it seemed like you got an extra ball pop for the number of cupcakes. Don't be afraid to kind of form it. If it's crumbly, you're just trying to get the frosting to keep it together. Okay. Oh, these look yummy. Okay. This is something you could do if you're bored with cupcakes or cake that you have. You can repurpose it into something else. And it looks like I can get one more. Yep. So for 5 medium size, I'd say cupcakes, I've got 6 cupcake or cake pop balls. Okay. All right, so we're done with that. Okay, so I melted the chocolate. Remember, when you're melting chocolate, do it at 30-second intervals until it's fully melted. This took about 2 minutes. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your popsicle stick or your lollipop stick, dip it in a little bit of white chocolate, and push it into the cake pop. Because we're using the white chocolate to kind of keep it secure and sturdy on the stick. And just a little twirl in the melted chocolate. Go. Okay. And then these will go in the freezer till they set up and get a little bit easier to handle and they're not crumbly at all. So I'm just going to set these aside and grab the ones that I've already had in the freezer. Okay, so I have some that I already decorated. These are the ones that I had that need to be decorated. So there is a little bit of a technique when putting chocolate on these cake pops. You want to drizzle it on the top and turn it. So it's very helpful to use a liquid measuring cup that has a spout on it. And then as you turn it, you want to just tap it a little bit to get all of the excess off. You want to have it all nicely covered. I used about 2 pieces of that bark chocolate, melting chocolate. I imagine if you were using chips, oh, see, I missed a spot. Imagine if you were using chips, you would use maybe 1/4 to 1/2 cup. And you just keep spinning and tapping, spinning and tapping. See the extras coming off as I do this. And it's making a nice even coating on the entire cake pop. Okay. So then what I like to do before the chocolate sets too much is to use my sprinkles. Now I just have some hearts here. Let me get something to put the sprinkles on, to catch the sprinkles. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit, kind of turn it. See, I waited too long and these aren't, this isn't setting up, but the sugar works really good. You can kind of push it down if you need to. The decorative sugar works really well. So that's this one. And then in order to keep them from getting messed up on the top or the sides, I've used an old 8 carton and poked some holes in the bottom so that you can keep them all separated till they dry. So again, you want to spin and turn your cake pop. Spinning and turning to kind of get it all coated. And once it's coated, you tap it on the edge of the measuring cup or glass, whatever you're using, and continue to spin it so that it's evenly coated and all the excess is off. There is some learning curve with this. And you can use whatever kind of chocolate you like. I kind of like the idea for red and white. But I imagine if you wanted chocolate cake, you could do white, or if you had white cake, you might want chocolate. And then just there, this is sticking much better. I got them quicker. These are the ones I did at home with the red sugar on it. So you have little sprinkles and you have sugar. I've seen it where people have also taken part of their white chocolate and used some food coloring and made different swirls on their cake pop. One more. You can get very creative and mix the two. You can leave it plain if you don't want any decorations on it at all. I found it very helpful to have the white chocolate reinforce the stick. That way I knew the cake was not going to fall off when I was tapping. There. And you just want like a nice even coat of the melting chocolate. And then the quicker that you get to decorating with your sprinkles, the better they stick. These are already dry. Whoops, that one wasn't. And then if you want them to set up a little bit more, I had these in the freezer so that they would be completely set up. So now I'm going to take a little taste. Very good. It's so pretty with the red inside. Very good. Just a nice little bite of cake that you can have that's very festive. I hope you enjoy making these red velvet cake pops. Bye now.